Last week on KBlend.
Tried to quit drinking on my own. I've tried to feel better on my own. My mom just had enough.
Sam was not trying to sound religious. She told truth about life when it falls apart.
I was lashing out. I tried to kill myself, and I have a young child, and I had a husband who loved me very deeply, and it would have destroyed my family. But the attempt was made, and I got put into a psychiatric hold, and I didn't know what to do when I came out. Nothing had changed. I still felt the same. I still wanted to be gone. It felt like I hit rock bottom.
Then Sam's mom found KBlend.
Voices stopped, the negativity stopped, the impulses, the depression got better, the urge to drink felt better. I just felt better. I looked forward to my other treatments, even though it was scary and it's hard work. You have to learn how to let go. And it's a lot harder than it sounds to do. John and you coached me through it, and I ended up just letting go.
As we learn to live honestly, we are also being prepared to walk through the valleys life will bring.
Totally different person. My family notices, my friends, my colleagues. When I lost my husband recently in March, I've never felt pain like that before and figured there's nothing that could be done.
Sam had already begun to recover. But when this loss came, it struck the very places where life had started to become steady again. He was not only the man she loved, he had become a steady place for her daughter, a shelter in her recovery, and part of the life she had hoped for.
It was just me and my daughter till she was 9 years old because her father has a drug addiction, so we cut that out, and it's just been the two of us. It's the first man she's ever met that I dated. He became a great stepfather right away. They hit it off. Everything I ever wanted finally came true after being alone for so long. Marriage isn't perfect, but it was perfect for us. We really had a big stepping stone in my mental health. I couldn't have done it by myself. My family started to turn on me, but he didn't. He knew something was wrong. We just couldn't figure out what it was. I put him through the ringer, just like I did everyone else. He stuck by me and he helped me, trying to figure out what's wrong, how to fix it.
With a single phone call, everything changed.
They think he had some type of medical emergency and he ran into a tree on the way back to pick me up. And it was a fatal car accident. I got to the scene and I got instantly sick.
Sam describes the kind of shock that overwhelms the body, the mind, and the soul. And when the pain went deeper than she could imagine, she found herself slipping back into old ways of surviving.
I went into the shock. I can't remember anything except for just drinking. And I couldn't even get drunk. I was so emotionally upset. It was just like emotion that made me feel better just by doing it, because that's what I'm used to. When I'm happy, I drink. When I'm sad, I drink. When something's hard, I drink. If I celebrate, I drink. This was back in March, and then I had friends and family come stay with me for a couple months. They would take shifts about a week at a time and keep an eye on me because they were scared I was going to do something or resort back to who I was. And understandably so, I was really upset. I didn't talk much. It just was full of tears and drinking. I would wake up and I'd wake people up to me opening my drinks. I would drink all morning, all afternoon, sleep a little bit, drink some more. I stopped eating. I reverted back to my old behaviors. I couldn't take being alive during that. I've suffered loss. I lost my cousin to an overdose, my stepbrother to an overdose. My grandpa, who was like my dad, I lost 3 years ago. So we've been hit with loss after loss, but I've never felt one like this. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I would live anymore without him. He was such a big part of my life and my daughter's life.
But even in that collapse, something had changed. Sam recognized that if she was going to survive this kind of pain, she had to return to what had already begun to bring real healing.
To be honest, it took me right back to wanting to die because it was so traumatic. But, I got my treatment. I slowed down. I got my reset, and I decided to start just giving it to God and praying. And I'm not a religious person, I would say. I'm spiritual. I believe in God. I just don't do the religious part of it, and I actually started going to AA, and so I've opened my spiritual awareness a little bit more.
KBlend is about more than saying good things about God. It is about learning to encounter him in the deepest and darkest places, where he becomes not a distant idea or a wish granter, but the true satisfier of the soul. And for those who want to understand how that healing is supported clinically, Sam's full conversation with Dr. Krista also explores the medical side of trauma, shock, and how treatment is carefully applied at KBlend. To hear the full story, visit www.mykblend.com.
I want to help others that have the same problem I have, that know they're not alone, and there is something that works that's not conventional, and it's probably, you're not going to believe it until you try it, but there is something. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to wait until you want to kill yourself. You don't have to sit and suffer every single day with the voices and the negativity and the sadness.
What you just heard is why these conversations matter. There is a kind of authority that only comes from passing through the deep and dark and returning with something real to say to those still trapped there. Welcome to the KBlend Show. Honest conversations about God, suffering, survival, recovery, and the realities people face when life falls apart. KBlend is a state-licensed medical practice, and this program is educational in nature. When we reference scripture, history, or older writings, we do so to help interpret the human condition, not to replace individualized medical care, mental health treatment, emergency services, or pastoral counseling. We use these sources alongside responsible medical understanding because human suffering did not begin in modern medicine, and biology is not the whole story. At KBlend, we do not see people as broken so much as stuck in the wrong mode for too long. Our goal is not merely temporary relief, but restored capacity, connection, and sustainable change. We care for the whole person, medically, emotionally, relationally, and, when appropriate, spiritually. This is the place where people who have hit rock bottom begin to break the power of isolation, tell the truth about pain, and call back to others still trapped where they once were. Today, we continue that conversation with a new guest. Here is your host, Krista Kleider.
Thank you so much for joining your Saturday afternoon with us. I am Dr. Krista Kleider on the KBlend Show, and we are here today with our friends and our guests, Estacia and her mom, Jody. Guys, thank you so much for being here today to share your testimony.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So who is KBlend? What is the KBlend Show? So we have been advertising partners with WMUZ for some time now, and we are thrilled and excited to be hosting our own radio show now called the KBlend Show. What is the KBlend Show? Where we are here to share with you real struggles, real emotions, and real testimonials from existing patients who have been struggling with mental health disorders, whether that's depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, suicidal ideations, maybe it's chronic pain syndromes, everything from migraines to fibromyalgia to arthritis to back and neck problems to complex regional pain syndrome. And we have real patients on the radio talking to you about their experience with the KBlend program. And I want you to listen today because Estacia's story is extremely powerful. And I know that there's somebody out there who's listening right now who can connect to what she's sharing. My name is Dr. Krista Kleider, and I am an advanced practice nurse. I have been practicing in the world of anesthesia for over 15 years now as a certified registered nurse anesthetist, and I'm also a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. And it is my honor to be here with our guests today and to also operate the KBlend program. Now, my husband, John, and I, we have been operating the KBlend program for over 5 years now. We have 2 locations, and every year we help hundreds of patients, again, who are suffering from mental health disorders or from chronic pain syndromes. And so, Estacia, let's dig into your story right off the bat. Let's start to peel some of those layers of the onion back. Now, you have suffered.
I tried everything from medications to counseling. I've been hospitalized 3 times. I've been to rehab 3 times. Nothing seemed to work.
That is, until Astacia started KBlend treatments. KBlend acts like a sledgehammer on treatment-resistant mood disorders like suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, and chronic pain.
I have severe anxiety every day from the time I wake up, the time I go to sleep. So that was one of the big factors that I was able to tell, like, this is actually doing something. I was beginning to feel more confident in knowing that this treatment is going to do something for me, especially with my bipolar, because I'm constantly cycling, I'm always manic, and I noticed that helped me with my manic episodes.
If you or someone you love is struggling, you don't have to face it alone. Call the KBlend helpline, 734-605-8500. That's 734-605-8500. The KBlend helpline is ready for your call.
What sort of things did you first notice? What types of patterns of behavior did you start to see?
She wasn't sleeping. She was very depressed, worried about everything, excessively. She'd go on and on and on about different things that she was worried about. She had experienced different trauma up to that point. And then I think it was the tipping point, probably when she was 14. It seemed like she was almost having like a nervous breakdown. I took her to a mental health hospital. She stayed there for almost a week. And from 14 until we came here, she tried several different medications, maybe 20 or more different hospitalizations. She got into a lot of trouble, been to jail several times. She spent a birthday in jail. Honestly, I didn't think that she would make it into her 20s. I thought she'd be dead before then.
Wow, what a heavy weight to bear as a mother.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how, so she went through several medications. You said over 20 medications.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's over many doctors, many different doctors' visits that you took her to.
Yeah.
Many hospitalizations. Were they suicide attempts? Were they for extreme depression? What exactly were some of those hospitalizations for?
The first one was, like I said, it seemed like she was having a mental breakdown. Another hospitalization, she had drank herself to the point where they took her to the hospital. They found her face down behind a door. So she was trying to self-medicate. And then, drinking to self-medicate, ending up in trouble. So different reasons why she was in the hospital. There was 2 suicide attempts. So we kind of were at our end, when we heard about your treatment.
Sure. At the end of your rope.
Yes.
A lot of people say end of my rope, rock bottom,
Yeah.
nowhere else to go, right?
Yep.
I can't even imagine what it was like being a mom and watching your daughter go through that. Astacia, do you remember some of those situations, or did you block some of those traumatic events out of your memory?
I think since a child, I've blocked out pretty much half of my childhood, I think. I have tried pretty much anything, substances, alcohol, but alcohol is always the thing that was readily available, I guess, and it was easy to turn to that because it made me feel, I guess, no anxiety, confident. It was almost like it was my friend, basically, which is sad to say, but I turned to that since I was 12, and ever since then, up until about 2022, I kind of just lost myself, I think. I just felt disconnected from reality and disconnected from myself. I felt alone, and going through high school, went through a lot of different things, but I think it was mainly the trauma that really kind of made me bury myself and I guess that was where it all started, is just as a child feeling alone and just feeling this like inner emptiness from the things that I experienced, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to process my emotions in the correct way, so I turned to alcohol, and it didn't help me. It just kind of numbed me in a way. It covered up my entire being, and after that, I got into, like she said, a lot of legal trouble, and I turned into somebody that I didn't even know, basically.
So through all of that, did you ever get angry at God, angry at the world, angry at your body, angry with your brain, thinking to yourself, I'm just too broken, that there's nothing that nobody will ever be able to do to help me?
I think angry at God was one of the biggest things, because I always questioned, if there actually is a God, why are things like this for me? Like, why me? And I'd always ask, how is that fair? Like I said, if there is a God, why would my life end up this way? Why would I have to suffer? And then I kind of just stopped believing in God, and I turned away from God and lost touch with that and lost touch with myself. So I didn't believe in anything. I didn't even believe in myself. So, and I think I questioned my own existence and wondered, why am I here? What am I doing? Is there a purpose? Is there meaning to this life, basically? And I thought I had no place in this world. So.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned 2023, and crazy enough, July 2023 was when you first started coming to KBlend. So, Jody, were you the one who reached out to KBlend initially?
So she had mentioned that she was researching, and then I think we kind of both found the place. And at that point, she had just had psychosis and was coming out of it. I didn't think that she was ever going to be okay at that point. It was really, really scary. And she was taking some medications. They weren't really helping. And so we found your place, and she kept saying, I'm scared, and I don't think it's going to work. And I said, it is going to work. It's going to work. This is going to do it. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. And so we came, and she was still nervous and scared, and I kept telling her, it's going to work. It's going to work. I know it is. And I think it was probably the third treatment. You could tell it was doing something. She'd come back and get another one, and you could tell each time that it was helping, and it changed our life. It 360. I mean, yeah. Like I said, I didn't think she was ever going to be okay. And she's
here today, successful, confident, doing amazing. Yes, I see that too. And we are so excited to share more of Astasia's testimony. Again, we're here with a current patient with the KBlend program, Astasia, and her mom, Jody. And if you're listening today and you suffer from any of the things that you've heard Astasia and her mother talk about, please give us a call. Our phone number is 734-605-8500. Again, that's 734-605-8500, or visit us at www.mykblend. That's the letter KBlend.com. We're going to be back in just a few minutes here with more amazing testimonial from Astasia.
Depression and trauma can leave people feeling trapped, like the fog will never lift.
I was wrestling with depression and anxiety, some trauma that happened to me in my home.
After suffering strokes, Susan struggled with balance.
I had a very difficult time processing. I really needed help. After I had the strokes, I would drag my foot and my balance was off.
The first treatment changed everything.
First day, I felt the fog starting to clear. I feel so good now. When can I have the next one? And I'm like, am I supposed to wait or am I supposed to just go on? And that's where you guys come in. And my mom said, you are back.
Her husband remembers the moment her mother looked at him.
I looked at her mom, and her mom looked at me and said, we got our girl back.
We got our girl back. Stories like Susan's are why KBlend exists. You can hear Susan's full story right now at KBlend.com. And if you or someone you love is struggling, you don't have to face it alone. Call the KBlend helpline, 734-605-8500. That's 734-605-8500. The KBlend helpline is ready for your call.
Welcome back to the KBlend Show. I'm Dr. Krista Kleider, your host for today. I'm with our amazing guest here today, Astacia, who's a current patient at the KBlend program, and her mother, Jody. Thank you so much again, guys, for being here today. So, Astacia, we're going to be talking about everything from anger at God, anxiety, bipolar, the boundaries that you set, some trauma, some fatigue, some grief, some high-risk behavior that you've had, addiction, right? Numbness, low self-esteem, like everything pretty much on this list that I give to our patients when they want to come and give their testimonial, you marked. There's check marks almost on everyone, guys. So, if you're listening today, toxic relationships, maybe it's suicidal thoughts, maybe it's seasonal depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, this show is for you. You have to listen to our KBlend show right now. Don't turn the radio station. So, Astacia, you've shared a little bit, and Jody, thank you so much for sharing as well from a mom's perspective. Describe a little bit more. You said that you were self-medicating. You had a couple suicide attempts already under your belt. This all started about when you were 12 years old. When were you first diagnosed with bipolar disorder?
I was 18.
How hard was that? Did you understand what that label, that diagnosis meant for you? Or did you not understand? Where were we at with that at 18 years old?
I guess it made sense, but at the same time it didn't. But I've always been kind of up and down. I'd wake up and just be in a bad mood for no reason. Extreme, like highs and lows, sad, happy one minute, the next minute just hysterical. I don't know. I've been up and down for a while. But I'm not really sure even now if that's even what's going on. I've been to multiple psychiatrists, tried many medications for bipolar disorder, and those do nothing. They make me feel like the complete opposite of what they're supposed to do, stabilize your mood and stuff. But
do you remember that time, Jody, when she was first diagnosed? Did it start to make sense a little bit about her behavior, what she was going through? Did the doctors that you saw, did they do a good job of trying to support you? Were you spiraling the same way she was, pretty much?
So, the doctors, no real support. The bipolar, I didn't really know that much about it. I just knew a little, what you hear, mood swings and stuff like that. But yeah, it did make sense when they said bipolar, just from what I knew about it. And then even though, she got that diagnosis, there was still nothing that was helping it. I didn't know what to do to help her either, especially, not really understanding how she's feeling. So yeah, it was very difficult.
And the mood swings with bipolar, would you agree, Jody, that it's like 0 to 120
Yeah.
in like 3
Yes.
seconds, like a
Mhm.
complete turnaround, right?
Yes.
The ups and the downs can be extremely, extremely powerful.
Yeah.
The high risk behavior, the happy elatedness, the feelings of not needing sleep, of going days on end without
Yes.
sleep, not eating, being on that high to the low lows of suicidal ideations, staying in bed, unable to get up. Now, it's crazy that you say that the providers, the doctors that you saw offered very little support for you as you were going through this with your daughter.
Yeah.
In America, 3% of the population, they're diagnosed with bipolar disorder. That means millions of Americans in the US are suffering with these symptoms. Of those, 80% have serious impairment from the diagnosis, that they never fully receive the help that they need,
Yep.
that they don't respond well to medication, that affects men and women equally across the board. Usually it's diagnosed typically in the adolescent years and in early adulthood. And 50% of those with bipolar disorder also suffer with substance use disorder, with some type of addiction. 50%. Alcohol being number one, number two being marijuana, other illicit drugs, continues down the line, right? But alcohol, you said, was your go-to. It became your friend.
I feel like the doctors, not necessarily that they didn't care. I feel like the doctors kind of just treat everybody the same. If you have anxiety, okay, take this. If you have bipolar, take this. And then you tell them like all of these things are not working. And then they're like, okay, well, basically I got deemed like this is a complicated case. They don't know what to do. So I felt kind of helpless. And it's not that I didn't feel like anybody cared. I felt like nobody understood exactly what I meant when I explained how I felt. And my mom tried to help me as much as she could, but she didn't know what else to do. I mean, we've exhausted all options, and in and out of jail, in and out of the hospital. Just there was no helping me. You couldn't really do anything to help me if you didn't understand.
That was like, you would hear that several times a day. You just don't understand. You just don't understand. It's like, I'm trying to understand, but yeah.
And that's so common with 90% of the phone calls that we get, where people express that to us, that nobody understands the situation that I'm in. Yet me as a mental health care provider, going through a structured educational program to get the licensure that I have, we put people in boxes.
Yeah.
We look for specific diagnoses, for specific patterns of behavior, for specific thought patterns to be able to diagnose you, whether it's with depression, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar, whatever it might be, right? We look for specific things. So we cram people into boxes to be able to tell you, well, this is what's wrong with you. But even after, as you've identified, even after you get that diagnosis, where do you go from there? How do you then handle it? Sure, you have an understanding of what's going on, but then what's the next step, right? You were in a pretty desperate state, a pretty low state when you came to KBlend. Again, you were thinking like, well, this isn't going to help me. I've been failed by so many other things, so many other providers, like nobody will understand. This isn't going to help. What was your experience when you first came through the doors, when you first saw me? Because you're stuck with me when you come into the program, right? I'm with you for every treatment. What was your experience when you first initially came through the doors and did a treatment with us?
I think initially I was mind blown, because it was almost like a shock to have providers actually care about your well-being and not just say that they care. From going to basically, I think the best way to explain it is this place treated me like I was family. The way you guys approached helping me, basically, it was a shock from going from being thrown medications to what are your needs, how can we help you, having somebody guide me through every step, making sure I'm comfortable. It was a really different experience, and it finally felt different than anything I've ever been offered, and it felt real, and it definitely surpassed my expectation of what this was going to be like, and it felt like I was finally being listened to.
And your mom said that she noticed about 3 treatments in that you were having some positive effect from the KBlend program. When did you first notice that you were having some positive relief from your symptoms?
For me, it takes a while to notice, so I have to kind of hear it from somebody on the outside perspective, but kind of around the same time. I think for me, it was the 4th treatment, and I just felt like my entire outlook on life changed. My thought process went from, if I have a negative thought, it's immediately like corrected by a positive thought. I started doing different things that I don't normally do, stepping outside of my comfort zone, talking to strangers. I don't do that. Riding my bike, just doing different things that I don't normally do. It mostly was just the thoughts of like appreciating the small things. I don't want to say euphoria, but it's almost like a euphoria of like you walk outside, the sun is shining, and you're like, today's going to be a good day. I appreciate all these things. And it's like a self-realization of like, I'm happy to be alive, and I made it this far. And it's like, wow, I felt like a completely different person.
Maybe
different.
Maybe instead of euphoria, is it just living in the moment?
Yeah, it was almost like I dissociated for so long that it felt like I came back into my body, and it felt like I was here again. I wasn't just...
You were present.
Surviving. I was here, and my body connected to myself. I felt like I was brought back to myself. If that makes sense.
Well, it makes perfect sense. What an amazing testimony. Thank you for sharing all that. So, you're probably listening today, and I guarantee you that either you or someone you know is suffering the same way that Estacia used to suffer. And I want you to call us. Our phone number is 734-605-8500. Again, our phone number is 734-605-8500. We are here to help you. There's no strings attached. Give us a call. Pick up that telephone and give us a call right now. You can also visit www.mykblend. That's MY, the letter K, BLEND.com, mykblend.com. We would love to see if KBlend is right for you. Give us a call now. We'll be back in just a few moments with more to share.
This is Nate talking about his KBlend success on the Home and Health Show.
3 weeks ago, I would have been sitting here, I'd have been fidgety and not been able to speak clearly. Now I feel like I could face the world. The fears are gone, like the chains are broke.
Nate had tried just about everything to get his depression and anxiety under control, but the medications and therapy weren't working. Then he tried KBlend. Proprietary KBlend acts like a sledgehammer on treatment-resistant mood disorders like anxiety, depression, PTSD, OCD, even chronic pain.
If you tried everything else, why not try this? You went down that path before, why not go down this one?
Call the KBlend helpline at 734-605-8500 and talk with the KBlend experts about how this miraculous treatment can break the chains of your mood disorder or chronic pain.
Thank you so much for joining us back on the KBlend Show. I'm Dr. Krista Kleider, your host today, and I'm joined by a current patient, Estacia, of the KBlend program, and her mom, Jody. Guys, thank you so much again for being here, sharing your testimonials of how the KBlend program has helped you, not only helped you, but changed your lives. And I want to talk a little bit about, in the first part of this show, Estacia, I asked if you ever got angry with God, with the world, or your body or your brain. You specifically talked about your frustration with God. Is God there? Why am I here? Right? And I think that in difficult times, we all go through that. Now, at the KBlend program, my husband and I don't see this clinic as a job. I actually work doing anesthesia work outside of the clinic to help support our lifestyle because the clinic is our ministry. We spend a lot of time coaching and, giving psychotherapy. I do psychotherapy with patients, doing the KBlend treatments. We do all of that because our whole goal here on earth is to help somebody who feels like they're at the end of their rope, like that they are at rock bottom, right? And Estacia, I am so thankful that you trusted us. You trusted your mom to come for that first infusion. You trusted to come back through several infusions, that you started to notice an improvement in your symptoms. And here you are today. What a testimony. And through this process, have you found God again? Is he there for you?
I definitely feel like I found God again. And it's amazing how that works and how God works and brings you to people that basically bring your light back in you and help you find God again. Not only that, it's just amazing to have providers that actually care about you as a person, and your mission is to help people. It's not just to fill in the blank of the position, but it's to actually get people back to feeling like they're themselves.
Absolutely. So at your last infusion, which was a couple weeks ago, I remember when I took you back to your treatment room, got you comfortable, we were having a conversation, and I know you really well because I've known you now for several years, and I've seen you, blossom through the whole process, blossom with your job, blossom with your lifestyle, the choices that you're making. You are really, really doing amazing. And, you came from such a dark place. When you first originally came to the clinic, I had a conversation with my husband who helps me run the program, and I really questioned whether or not I would be able to help you too, because you had been through so much in such a short period of time. You're so young. Like, the things that you have been through in life are things that usually take somebody an entire lifetime to accumulate, right?
Yeah.
And I love the author Max Lucado, and he talks about how we carry our trash bags full of guilt and shame and regrets, right? And so your trash bags, so to speak, theoretically, right, were full. They were overflowing. And yet the process has been miraculous, literally, for you. Do you feel like that you have a future? Do you feel like God is leading you somewhere, that you have a purpose and a plan for your life now?
I definitely feel that way. I think it just took a lot of time to really see the big picture, I guess, when you kind of stray off path, whether it be like from pain, trauma, self-doubt, stuff like that. I think you kind of forget that there is a reason that you're here, and it's not like one specific person to each being, but it's just, I think you kind of, when you get back in touch with yourself, when you get back in touch with God, you get back to the path that you're supposed to be on, and you're able to see what you're supposed to be doing, why you're here. But I think ever since I've been doing treatments and working on myself and getting back in touch with God, I'm able to see that I am here for a reason, and I'm here to help people. I'm here to also bring the light back into other people and to shine mine too. So
absolutely, and you are definitely shining. So your last infusion, when I took you back to that room, we were having a conversation, and I was talking to you, and I believe I complimented you on something, and you kind of questioned it, and I said, it's true, because God speaks through other people. And the look on your face, I think you turned about 10 shades white. Do you want to explain what that was for?
So I've always asked for signs and just confirmation. And I asked for a sign that basically, am I on the right path? Is everything going to be okay for me? And I seen a video pop up and it said that God works through other people. And you come out and grabbed me, and I went back to the room and you said that exact thing, and it just kind of was like, what?
Within just a few minutes.
Yeah, it just kind of,
right?
It didn't scare me, but it was like, wow, that's exactly what I asked for, is that sign. And it made me feel good, but it just surprised me that it came that quick, because it usually doesn't come that fast, but it made me feel calm and okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. The peace, right? The peace came over you. That's amazing. So Jody, how do you feel that Astasia's been doing? I mean, recently she started a new job. She's working full time. She's very high functioning now. How do you feel overall? Are her moods? Is her positivity towards life? Where are we at with all that from a mom's perspective? Aww.
Yeah, she's back. She's positive. She has anxiety every once in a while, but nothing like she did before. It would be from the time she woke up until the time she went to sleep. But yeah, she's positive. She's motivating. She tries to motivate all of us, and we need to do this and we need to do that. And she's on her way. I'm proud of her. Very proud of her. Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the smile on your guys' faces. Yeah. So that's amazing. So since you have the opportunity on air here to share something with somebody listening who is in the same boat that you used to be in, what advice would you give them? What would you share with them right now, Astasia? Having lived through the extreme ups and downs and all arounds of the diagnoses that you were given?
That's a little bit of a tough question. I don't know a direct thing that I would say, but I'd have to say, if you're going through something similar to what I'm going through, or your own things, or just struggling in general, don't be afraid to reach out, whatever it may be. Don't feel like you're alone. Don't feel like, I guess, try not to sit in the thoughts of this is forever, because this is temporary, and it's kind of cliche to say, but this too shall pass, and this will not last forever, because I got stuck in that mindset of like, this is my life, this is how it's going to be. But then you get past all of that and you're like, wow, I'm glad that I stayed and stuck through this, and be that you stayed to see how it turned out.
Absolutely. So don't give up on yourself, right? Don't give up on yourself is a big thing, that there is hope out there. And you don't have to hit rock bottom to give us a call. You don't have to be at the end of your rope to give us a call. Our phone number is 734-605-8500. Again, our phone number is 734-605-8500. You can always visit us online as well at www.mykblend. That's the letter K, BLEND.com, mykblend.com. Give us a call today. You do not have to feel like you're alone. You do not have to feel like you're on an island all by yourself. We are here to see and help you if KBlend is right for you. So give us a call. We're waiting for you now.
For years now, you've listened to testimonies from other WMUZ listeners about the miraculous effects of KBlend on
PTSD. I'm bipolar. I have anxiety. I have depression.
I was actually diagnosed bipolar. There was a time I was taking probably 30 to 45 pills a day.
I've been dealing with depression for about 2.5 decades. Depression and anxiety. I've been in and out of hospitals, and that's usually because of a suicide attempt.
But you're still suffering. Don't wait any longer. With this special offer from KBlend, now is the time to contact John and Krista at 734-605-8500.
There were a lot of nights where I would go to sleep and I would just hope that I just didn't get up the next day, to be honest with you.
I've tried pretty much everything that you could think of. I was diagnosed with severe depression, severe anxiety, bipolar disorder. I wasn't able to do daily tasks. I would just lay in bed for days. Definitely has not just changed my life, but saved my life.
KBlend acts like a sledgehammer on treatment-resistant mood disorders like suicidal ideation, anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, and on chronic pain.
I started noticing a difference even just after the first treatment. After the third treatment, it was a very, very big difference.
Break the chains of your mood disorder or chronic pain and get real and lasting relief with KBlend. Get on the road to real recovery by calling the helpline at 734-605-8500.
To the KBlend Show. I'm Dr. Krista Kleider here, and I have Astacia, a current patient with our KBlend program, and her mom, Jody. And we have heard some amazing testimonials from you guys today about how KBlend has helped with all of the diagnoses that you've been given, but your quality of life. You're extremely high functioning now, Astacia. You're beautiful. You are doing so great with everything. And you talk about your future with me, which is even more exciting for me because I saw you when you first came into the clinic, exactly the state that you were in and the trauma that you and your family had gone through. Jody, what has the KBlend program done for you and your family other than help Astacia?
So not only was she spiraling and feeling hopeless, so were we. It was a battle for all of us. Depressing, feeling hopeless, not knowing what to do or, are we ever going to come out of this? Is she ever going to have a normal life? And are we ever going to have a normal life? Not knowing. And it is hopeless. And when you go to different doctors and different therapy and different medications and you try all these things and you get nothing. And even like with Astacia, she would, go to a therapist and go through all these things that she's been through. And it's like, okay, now what? I've told you, she would say, I don't want to tell anybody else. I don't want to tell anybody else the same thing that I've been saying because it doesn't work. Nothing is working. So with myself and I have another daughter, and my husband, it was a struggle for all of us. And not thinking that we're ever going to have a normal life, not ever going to get to be happy or see her be happy or successful. It's very depressing and a feeling of hopelessness. And I would say that even though you feel like you've tried everything, try this. Don't give up yet. Try this because it works. We've been through years of different medications, different therapy, different doctors, and this will work for you. It gave us everything, And
that reminds me of like, when you asked me that question, I didn't know how to answer it, but now that I heard her say that, it's almost like you might have tried all these things and want to give up hope and have lost faith, but at the same time, that one last thing that you think is not going to work will be the thing that might save your life.
Yes.
Will be the thing that will work for you and will change your entire life. So.
Was that the KBlend program for you?
Definitely. Yeah. So.
And Jody, what advice would you give someone who's listening right now, maybe a mother who has a daughter or a son who's struggling the way that Astacia was? What advice would you give them?
Don't give up. It's hard not to feel defeated, but there's hope, and it's here. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You guys gave us our life back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, At KBlend, we work really, really hard to make sure that we understand where patients are coming from, where families are coming from, what you have struggled through, what you're going through currently. And, it could be everything from trauma to maybe it's just severe depression where you don't brush your teeth, you can't take a shower. Maybe it's severe anxiety where you can't be around family members anymore, where, maybe it's OCD where you have to triple check all of your locks, right? Something like that. We work really hard to get to know you individually. We don't put you into that cookie cutter mold, right, that we talked about earlier. We don't stuff you into a box and say, well, this is the way that you should behave, that you need to behave. These are the things that should work for you. We try really hard to make sure that every treatment plan is individualized for that person. And we do things, as you're well aware, Astacia, that we even offer like warm blankets, just like when you go to surgery, right? Like that was a big thing for me. One of my top requests when we were building the clinic is we have to have warm blankies for people to feel comfortable,
and
right?
weighted blankets.
And weighted blankets, absolutely. So what do you feel is so special about the KBlend clinic that makes you feel comfortable as soon as you walk in the door? And it might be maybe just the way that we smile at you, that I give you high fives, that we hug each other, that, maybe it's the chair that you like to sit in or the bed. What is it for you that makes you feel so comfortable and so willing to continue with treatment?
I think it's, for me, I've never had anywhere that like feels like home. And when I come here, it feels like home. Like, when you walk into a house and it's like there's pictures on the wall and just the energy in the room is whole and connected. It's like that feeling. And it feels familiar and comfortable and nurturing and welcoming, not just like a facility that you go to and it's different. It feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, that I'm supposed to be here, and I feel welcome.
It makes me so excited to hear you say that, because when we were designing the clinic, I designed it intentionally with not one white wall.
Yes.
Because in hospitals, right, you're in that sterile environment. There is not one white wall in our clinic. Instead, we have wood on the walls. We have corrugated metal on the walls. We have amazing colors, right? Very relaxing. And so I am super excited to hear you say that all of our hard work paid off, because that was our intention, was that when people walk in, they do feel like they're at home. And many patients have shared with me, it feels like grandma's house. Like, that's typically a lot of the answers that I get, like grandma's house. Like, it's just so comfortable. It feels like I've always belonged here. And that's our goal. And so thank you for sharing that with our listeners today. You've had a lot of changes in your life. KBlend, the program, whatever it is that your medications that you're using, whatever therapy that you're trying, we know that there's not one magic pill that all of a sudden can change you to be the superwoman that you want to be, right? There's always a process. So, we talk a lot about at the KBlend program that recovery is possible. Recovery is possible from depression, from anxiety. People tend to think that recovery is only related to addiction, but it's not. It's also, you can also relate recovery to depression, anxiety, trauma, right? Because you have to be on that road to recovery. You will have periods where you're in remission, but then you're going to have periods where it comes back up, right? Just the same with addiction. And so, I like to share with people that the healing path is never linear. It goes up, down, and all around because life happens, right? You might lose your job. You might all of a sudden get into a fight with your mom. You might get into a fender bender, something like that. Something is always going to be thrown into your life to throw you for a loop, right? And so you have had an amazing recovery path, though, in the last couple of years that I've known you. What tools do you think have been super helpful, or what have you used to make sure that in your life you've maintained on that road to recovery?
I think music has been one of the biggest things to help me get through life, but the main thing that tops all of it is writing. That's how I express myself the best. I'm not always good at talking.
You are an amazing writer because I've seen some of your work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely writing, though.
Writing
is my best tool.
Do you see Astacia using more coping skills?
I remember when we first started coming here, and we would hear all the time is do something to get out of your comfort zone. And so she would say that all the time. I got to do this to get myself out of my comfort zone. And so now she puts herself in different situations that, she would not do before. Yes, she still gets a little anxiety, but she can work through it. We'll talk through it, go over the situation, work it out so that it's not so much anxiety causing. And she does write a lot. That does help her. Listening to music helps her being active rather than just sitting with your thoughts and talking with you. We've had quite a few conversations, even in the beginning, with her treatment. I don't feel like it's working that good. We'll talk to her and she can raise it for you. She doesn't know unless you tell her. So being able to communicate, I think, is a major thing that she has gotten as a coping skill.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would agree with that for sure. So, and I've only known you for a very short period of your life, but it's been an honor to be with you and help you on your healing journey for sure. And, the more that we, like you mentioned, if something is very stressful around us and we have those negative thought patterns, our brains build pathways, right? Positive and negative. So the more that we allow our brains to sit in a negative rut, I like to call it, the negative pathway, right? The more that becomes consistent behavior and thought processes, no matter what the situation is the next. So maybe it's not that, the situation is quite identical, not quite as stressful, but your brain is automatically going to revert back to that negative pathway because our brains fire the path of least resistance, right? And so whatever thought patterns that we're used to thinking, that's where our brains are going to come back from or go back to in that situation. But you have had an amazing recovery process and you've been working on it consistently for the last couple of years. Astacia, where do you see that you're going to be in 5 years? Like what's your 5-year goal?
I don't know exactly where I'm going to be in 5 years, but I know I'm going to make it and I'm going to do everything that I set out to do. One of the biggest things that I believe in that kind of got passed down from my Nana was whatever it is that you want to do, you can do anything that you put your mind to and always follow your dreams. And that's kind of like me in a way, carrying on the legacy. I see myself, I guess, being a voice for people that have gone through the same thing as me, not only in this type of situation, but also with addiction, recovery, as well as I'm going to write a book. I'm working on it right now. It's taken a while. I think really I'm just going to be a positive influence on other people once I fully work through what I need to work through and just be the light that lifts everybody up. I think I'm going to be somebody that people will remember for the things that I've said and stuff like that. I just want to be somebody that people remember when I'm not here.
Mom, how does that make you feel? You're smiling over there.
Yeah, I see it. I told her, you didn't experience all these traumatic, horrible things for no reason.
Right.
You went through all these things so that you can share with other people and help them get through it. And she's doing it.
I
It's
see that
helping
too.
her. Yeah.
I see that too. And
Yeah.
I know we have the conversation often, how can I come and work at KBlend? So maybe, just maybe, this is your home, your forever home, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much again for sharing with us today, guys. It has been such an honor to sit here with you and share with the world your struggles. I know it's been hard. I know it's hard to relive some of those past thoughts and feelings and situations that you were in, but look at you today. You are doing so great, and I'm so excited for what the future holds for you, Astacia. So thank you so much for joining us today. We have really enjoyed this KBlend show, and I hope that you have too. You can join us again on Saturdays at 1 o'clock on WMUZ 103.5. Give us a call today. Maybe you've heard something that Astacia or her mom Jody has shared that touches you, that you know that you have been feeling for some time. Maybe somebody that you know is struggling and going through something similar. Give us a call, 734-605-8500, or visit us at www.myblend.com. That's www.mykblend.com.
I tried everything from medications to counseling. I've been hospitalized 3 times. I've been to rehab 3 times. Nothing seemed to work.
That is until Astacia started KBlend treatments. KBlend acts like a sledgehammer on treatment-resistant mood disorders like suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, and chronic pain.
I have severe anxiety every day from the time I wake up, the time I go to sleep. So that was one of the big factors that I was able to tell, like, this is actually doing something. I was beginning to feel more confident in knowing that this treatment is going to do something for me, especially with my bipolar, because I'm constantly cycling. I'm always manic, and I noticed that helped me with my manic episodes.
If you or someone you love is struggling, you don't have to face it alone. Call the KBlend helpline, 734-605-8500. That's 734-605-8500. The KBlend helpline is ready for your call.
You've been listening to The KBlend Show with your hosts, John and Krista Kleider. Thank you for joining us. You can find out more about this revolutionary treatment at mykblend.com, or you can speak directly to a KBlend expert by calling 734-605-8500. And join us each Saturday afternoon at 1 for more honest stories of healing and hope with The KBlend Show on 103.5 FM WMUZ The Light, Detroit, Maine, Bible Strong.